This old guy DIY video deals with these Klipsch 2.1s with a subwoofer speakers. I've been using these desktop monitor TV speakers for probably 10 years now. I think I have 5 or 6 sets of them. You can see one here for the computer. I've got another one, the subwoofer down there. The speakers are in the basement. I've got one out here on the TV. There's one there, and the subwoofers are back here. So I've got 5 or 6 sets of these, and recently they've all been having issues, and I think I might have found a solution. Back here you can see the mess that I've been working on. So I've got basically the 2 sets that I'm trying to fix right now. This one that's been hooked up in the living room. The subwoofer recently started crackling, so I thought it was a subwoofer issue, but I actually think it's the amp board in here. And then the set that's in the computer room over there that's torn apart, that one, like no sound will come out of any of the speakers. And I believe it's the same issue or different issue, but the same component. So I tried swapping just the subwoofers to see if that would fix anything, and it doesn't. I read some of the forums, and the guys say that this setup comes with ridiculously underpowered amps, and they blow and everything. So the solution is going to be about $40 in parts to get an aftermarket amplifier and power supply, do a little basic wiring, and then we should be in business. Because basically, like for the TV, for example, I was thinking about replacing that with maybe a soundbar or some better speakers. But these Klipsch speakers you can find on eBay for between $50 and $200. And the cheapest soundbar that people said was worth buying is $300 all the way up to $1,500. So I've been really pleased with these Klipsch speakers when they are working. So what we're going to try and do is make them work again. And like I said, I've got, I think, 3 sets that are working. I've got one in the computer room, one in the garage, one at my sister's place, and then I've got 2 that aren't, which is this set up here, and then the one in the computer room on the floor. So we're going to try and get them to work. So I got the parts today. I think I have everything necessary to make this setup work. I've got some of these, I don't even know what you would call them, terminal ends, because what I'm gonna do is in here is those are the subwoofer speakers, but I'm gonna take all of those components out, and then I'm gonna run a new set of wires there. This is the little amplifier that we'll be using. This is the power supply for it. So yeah, I might need a little bit of extra speaker wire and maybe some terminal ends that I have in the garage already from past projects. But basically we're gonna gut the subwoofer, take all the existing components out. I'll probably like double stick tape this to the top of the subwoofer. Ideally you'd have it separate because you don't want it vibrating and stuff, but we'll hook it up to this, and this thing should be really straightforward. If I can see it. So it just has your left speaker, right speaker, subwoofer. It does have Bluetooth, and then all of your gain settings over here, and it just plugs in with that little power supply. So hopefully this is a quick and simple way to override all of the failures with this Klipsch 2.1, because the system sounds amazing when it works. However, now that I have 3 of these that have failed, it's a common failure. I guess their boards are just cheap crap. So hopefully I can override it and make everything better than original. This is what the inside of this thing looks like. I have no idea what I'm actually looking at, but most of the weight of this subwoofer cabinet is all of this hardware. So I'm going to try and just remove all of it because we won't need any of it, and then rebuild it. Here's the subwoofer box with all the internals gutted. So it's just got a little port in there. I'm going to be putting all the hardware back because I want to prevent any air leaks. But this combo of crap, so I think this is the board, and that's a heat sink. So this board, I think one of the capacitors or something on there fails. And I assume this must be the power supply down here. But this thing, that thing is freaking heavy. I'm gonna weigh it because I'm curious. I didn't really care about aligning it properly, but all the crap you took out of that subwoofer weighs almost 7 pounds on its own. Here was my solution for the new subwoofer wiring. I had these little, or I bought these little push terminals, and I was trying to keep this as airtight as possible. I don't want air leaking out because it might affect the sound or whatever. Probably negligible. What a lot of people on the forums were doing is they just run their speaker wire out and just sandwich it between this plate and the box. I figured I'd get a little bit fancier with it. Obviously it's not straight, but the issue I was running into is these two prongs that I'm going, oh, let's see if we can get in there. Those two prongs were coming too close to touching whatever this metal is or whatever, and I didn't want to like short it out if it was conductive or I don't know. And then the reason I didn't use the existing holes is because I didn't want to take all that apart, but maybe I should have. So anyways, that's what I have, and when I put this back on, all of these will be filled with screws. It should be airtight even though it's not straight, and we should be good to go. I just had some scrap speaker wire and some terminals. So I got that wired up, dropped through the end. Now we'll take these two and we'll attach them to the back of that plate. I don't know how much it matters, but just for complete air tightness, I took a hot glue gun. So some of these screw holes, where's the board? They went into this board which had like standoffs. I couldn't really figure out a good way to, because the standoffs have nuts on them. I couldn't find a good way to save that. So rather than messing with additional hardware and whatever, I just went and took the arts and crafts kit out and took hot glue just to seal these holes, and then I did hot glue around all of these kind of fixtures just to try and make it as airtight as possible. So basically what I have now is I took a powered subwoofer and just made it a normal subwoofer. So the sub's over there. I'll have wires that go out to this way. And then I'll take our fancy pantsy new amp, and I'm just gonna mount this to the top of the subwoofer for now and plug everything in, and we should be done. Ended up taking me a lot more time than I thought because I tried to get fancy with this and prevent air leaks and whatever. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of dumb because yeah, I just took a powered subwoofer and made it so it's not powered. I could have just started this whole experience with buying this amp and power supply and then picking any subwoofer I wanted and any speakers that I wanted. But I guess these Klipsch ones do pair really well together, and I am happy with the sound quality. So my goal here was to spend 40 bucks and retrofit these so that they'll never crap out for the next 20 or 30 years, rather than buy a new set of speakers or like a crappy sound bar or something like that. Here is what the final product looks like. It's a little bit messy back here, but I think other than having the subwoofer wiring and whatever, it looks pretty close to OEM. No one's gonna see it in our house anyways. This little amplifier is pretty good. The settings are all pretty self-explanatory. And then I already had the wall speakers over there. And here's just another one. So another look. This one will go in for repair next because it has the same problem. But basically, again, pull out all of the innards, hardwire this, add the little amp and the power supply, and we're good to go. The only downside that I've noticed is from the factory, these Klipsch speakers have this nice little control for the subwoofer and the speaker volume. Now I have to do all of that back here. So you can see main volume. And subwoofer volume is right here.